Hello YouTube, and welcome to another Elder Scrolls lore video. Today we're going to talk about the Tamrielic calendar. And I just realized at this very moment of writing this that making a Tamrielic calendar, like a physical one, would be an amazing addition to my Elder Scrolls lore collection. So I'm actually going to do that after finishing this script. That said, for you it's time to watch this video on the calendar. So place your lore hat firmly on your head and let's kick off with this video. When talking about the Tamrielic calendar, we are in a sense actually talking about an almost exact copy of the Gregorian calendar that most people use in our world, you know, the calendar that currently makes it 2019. There are 7 days in every week: Morndas, Tyrdas, Midas, Turdas, Fredas, Loredas and Sundas. As probably already you noticed, these are quite similar names to the days in our own universe: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. With some names like Sundas being basically almost exactly the same, except for day being replaced by the Tamrielic word for day, das. Every day has 24 hours, although the time progression rate is much faster in game. In one Skyrim play session you can basically experience multiple days or even weeks. Same in the Elder Scrolls Online, although in that game days are longer than in Skyrim. This is most likely just a result of the developers judging what progression rate fits every game to make the gameplay streamlined. So for lore, let's just say that their hours take the same hours as our 24-day hours, and that in lore their hours are the same amount of time as they are in our universe. In some dialogues and lore books there's even mention of the words minutes and seconds, so it's safe to make assumption that in lore people in the Elder Scrolls universe live with the same time speed as us. Just like in our own universe, the year consists out of 365 days and is split off in 12 months that have the same amount of days as their counterparts in our universe. There's Morning Star, equivalent of January with 31 days, Sun's Dawn, equivalent of February with 28 days, First Seed for March with 31 days, Rain's Hand for April with 30 days, followed by Second Seed, Mid-Year, Sun's Height, Last Seed, Heartfire, Frostfall, Sun's Dusk, and finally Evening Star, equivalent of December, ending the year. This is interesting to consider the naming of the months, considering the first month is called Morning Star, named after the stars you can still make out in the sky when the sun is rising in the morning, and Evening Star being the last month, named after the stars which appear after the day has ended. So essentially, the year is just a metaphor for a day in the Elder Scrolls universe. And then you have the seed months: First Seed, Second Seed, Last Seed, likely all named after the moments where Tamrielic farmers sow their seeds in the years, and Frostfall to coincide with the coming of the winter. All in all, I really like the names given to the Tamrielic months. I even like some more than our own months, if I'm being honest, but I don't think there's a chance that the world leaders will adapt the Tamrielic calendar instead of the Gregorian calendar, so let's just give up on that hope right now. All months also have an associated constellation, which affects a person's traits whenever they are born in the associated months on Tamriel. These are called birth signs, although this was changed up in later games like Skyrim, where they are more or less replaced by the standing stones. So I don't know how prevalent that still is. Now, another interesting thing to note is that Tamriel does not have a leap day. Our 29th of February does not exist every 4 years in the universe of the Elder Scrolls. Now, I'm not going into the exact reason as to why we have a leap day, but very simplified, it has something to do with the fact that our calendar is imperfect and needs an extra day every 4 years to more or less get back on track with our cycle around the sun. The fact that Tamriel doesn't have it could mean that the sun cycle of Nirn, if it even has a cycle in that sense, which is debated, is actually a perfect fit to the Gregorian calendar without a leap year, which is very interesting. But most likely this is just a small oversight by the developers who wanted to make the sense of time in the Elder Scrolls universe closer to ours, as to not confuse players. But if you want to explain it the way using lore, it would mean that the cycle that Nirn makes around the sun, by some called Magnus, or the cycle Magnus makes around Nirn, depending on what you believe, is a perfect fit for the Gregorian calendar, other than our universe, where it isn't. Now, an inconsistency in this is that the calendar in Tamriel used to be different. During the Imperial Simulacrum, so the period of the Elder Scrolls Arena, and also in the period which Daggerfall takes place, the calendar used to consist of 12 months, all comprised of 30 days. Why this is, we don't know. Most likely after the Empire getting its stuff back together, after both games, someone just decided to switch back to the Gregorian calendar copy, as that one was already practiced in the second era during Elder Scrolls Online, so we don't know why the Empire decided to suddenly change up the calendar, why they made this change, we don't know, why they changed it back, we don't know, But if I have to guess, it's because probably this is just not to be explained by lore. It's probably because Bethesda found 30 days convenient to program for Arena and for Daggerfall, so let's just not look too far into that from a lore perspective anymore. And that was a short overview of the basics of the Tamrielic calendar, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, consider sticking around for the next one on next Thursday and clicking the bell icon so you know when it gets dropped. In addition to that, allow me to thank my top patrons Bernardo Binda, Hayden Barnes, Gabriel Binda and Sam Campling. They, along with the people on screen, are the ones that make these videos possible. That said, I will see you next Thursday in another lore video. Bye bye. Hello YouTube! Today a short video on the often forgotten rebellion in Riften, around the middle of the 4th era. This is quite an obscure piece of lore to a lot of people, since it only gets talked about a few times throughout the lore, mainly only in one book, so that's what I'll be citing most in this video. But after reading up a bit, I never really talk about it, I realized, on the channel, so therefore I now make this short video to solve that, so enjoy! So, something that most people don't realize, that Riften hasn't always been the slummy and backward city of Skyrim. The way Riften is presented to us in the game makes it seem like it's just a rotting city and as if it's always been as such. But that isn't really true. While Riften has always had a bit of a shady image, it wasn't always this bad. At the start of the 4th era, Riften was one of Skyrim's major trading hubs, which hosted trade caravans to and from Morrowind. And due to its location, it was actually the prime fishing spot for all of Skyrim. However, all of this changed when during the Void Nights, the Jarl that mediated the stability of the region was assassinated. Then, amidst the confusion of the assassination, a new Jarl was installed in the year 98 of the 4th era. This Jarl was named Hosgrun Crossdaggers. Many believe that this was all the result of a coup and that he had the previous Jarl assassinated, but nobody was really able to prove it, and he immediately started establishing a tight grip over Riften. According to the Book of Crossdaggers, he took the guard of the city under his personal control and used them to mute all the protesters that protested his reign, and he initiated a permanent curfew. Anyone out on the streets after a certain time would be immediately jailed without a process and executed if caught again. His reign continued for over 40 years over the city, as he basically ruled the city with an iron fist and, well, basically drilled the city's image to the rest of Tamriel to the ground, meaning that less and less traders would come to the city over the years. He built a large wooden castle for himself in the middle of the city and used the taxes of the city's residents to pay for it, making it so that while the city got poorer, the taxes increased, because after a certain time the taxes in Riften became outrageously high. According to the book, this castle became the visual reminder of the oppression in the city, and people would call it Hosgrun's folly in mockery. At the end of his reign, the mismanagement had finally caught up with him, as the people were in dire starvation and not enough medicine and other supplies were entering the city. This resulted in disease and famine all around. The people of Riften then revolted against the Jarl in the year 129 of the 4th era. They completely overwhelmed the city guard in a massive protest and set the large castle on fire, while the Jarl was still inside. This killed the Jarl and made the people victorious. However, the flames raged on overnight, as the flames spread to the rest of the city, and most of the city was in ruins after a while. Over the course of 5 years, Riften was rebuilt into the small shady city that we know today, never to fully recover from the fire and never to get its reputation back after 40 years of mismanagement and corruption. And while the Jarl that caused it might be dead, the corruption never really disappeared. Now, another interesting side note about this is that actually in the Elder Scrolls Blades, as you can see now on screen, this is alluded to under the Riften flag. This is actually where I got part of the inspiration for this video, because I saw this in Blades. And I just wanted to show this because people keep saying that there's no lore in Blades. Well, there is these kind of small lore notes. So that is the short story of Jarl Hosgrun Crossdaggers, whose emblem is still on the flag of Riften for some reason, and the story of the Riften Rebellion. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, consider sticking around for the next lore video. And before I end this video, allow me to thank my top patrons Bernardo Binda, Hayden Barnes, Gabriel Binda and Sam Campling. These guys are the absolute best, along with the other people on screen of course. With that said, I will see you all next week with another lore video. Bye!